Alrighty, watch fans, it's Rob back here again for Rob Reports. Thank you so much for being a part of the channel. I know I've been gone for a little while, been on vacation, been busy with life, but hopefully get back on more of a normal schedule with the video releases and keep bringing some great pieces to you guys. I've got a few planned that should be pretty fun. This video was inspired by one of my vacation that I just took. I was sitting there with the family and just looking at my watch, and I thought, oh, wait a second, there's an idea for a video. I should do a whole video about the watches that I brought on this trip, and maybe I'll talk a little bit about travel watches. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Oh, before I do, let's make sure that we like the video if you like it. Subscribe to the channel, hit that bell icon so you can get the notifications. And if you don't like it or have any suggestions, go ahead and leave a comment down below. I read the comments, and I definitely could use all the help I could possibly get getting the channel going here. So, travel watches. Not necessarily GMT, those kind of travel watches. This video is about what watches do you take with you when you travel? Do you take a dedicated GMT travel kind of watch that tells multiple times across time zones? Do you take a rugged beater watch that can take anything you could possibly throw at it? Do you take a whole bunch of watches? What do you do when you go on a trip? So that's more or less what we're going to be talking about today. Now, here in front of me, we have a watch roll. This is part of the travel accessories, right? Having this, oh, there we go. Having this with you is a big deal because it allows you to keep all of your watches in one spot. For years, I traveled with watches and socks, and I would put a watch in a roll of socks, put it in my shoe. I would do a lot of different things until I finally convinced a buddy of mine who has a side business making holsters and other leather goods. I convinced him to make me a watch roll. I provided him with the plans, the measurements, the leather. He went with me to go buy the leather, and he basically built this based off of my request. I thoroughly enjoy it. I use it quite a bit, and it is an absolute must for anybody that travels with more than the watch that's on their wrist. So we have this travel roll, right? I'll go ahead and open it up. Pretty basic design, right? This isn't anything super complicated, right? You've got a flap, you've got watches. I wanted 3 watches or 3 slots, and then I wanted a tool slot for my strap changing tool. Another key benefit of this design over others is you see how the flap goes pretty much all the way to the bottom. Depending upon the watch that's in there, you can get this to go all the way to the bottom. But I did that because when you lay this out, I now have a spot to put my watch head or my watch case down and safely change the straps without worrying about what the table looks like or whatever. I have a relatively soft, non-marring surface to do my strap changing. So like I said, I've got a strap changing tool. Here we have, you can do a whole video on just the strap changing tool, but oops, there you go. The lid just came off, but you can see I keep it in this little tube just because I've had issues with it in the past of scratching up and everything. So that's basically more or less all I leave. I leave this in there always, so I always have a strap changing tool inside my travel roll. Where to start? Let's go ahead and actually do a wrist check. So here we have a kind of a golden, kind of khaki-ish single pass strap on a bull of a hack. It's a recent acquisition I bought on a whim because I'm a big fan of these military dials, and I didn't have anything quite like this in this color, this kind of eggshell. So I thought I'd give this a shot, and it was delivered, I think, a day or two before the trip. So I decided I'd take this with me. But here you go. Pretty basic watch, right? Nothing crazy, but it's something that you could easily wear with a variety of straps and a variety of different outfits. So this was what I was wearing when I went on the trip. Okay, so this was on my wrist. That's one. We'll start here on the end. My beloved Seiko SRP 777. This watch is always with me when I travel. This is even though this is not a travel watch per se, as far as keeping track of times across time zones, to me, this is a good travel watch because this can take adventures. You go in the water, you go scuba diving, you go snorkeling, you go swimming in the pool, it's raining, who knows what, right? This watch can take it. It's a rough and tumble kind of piece, and as a result, that's always with me when I travel. So I've got my turtle, got it on a nice kind of khaki NATO. Next, let's jump down to here, and you'll notice that I kind of deceived you guys a little bit. For some of you could probably tell there wasn't a watch in there, but I've got different color NATOs, right, for my turtle. I've got kind of a gray silver kind of NATO. I had that khaki one. And then I've got more of a deeper, darker green, army green, if you will, for the turtle. So I've got 3 NATOs, somewhat similar families, as far as colors and whatnot and vibe. And then I've got the true rough and tumble watch strap, the rubber strap, right? This is an Uncle Seiko GL 831, I believe. One of my favorites, kind of a reproduction of the flat vent. That's quite the popular strap for Seiko fanboys. But I can always take one of these with me when I travel, just in case I do want to go in and do something in the water. So there, sorry about that camera bump there, guys. We've got the turtle. We've got the hack on another gray NATO, silver NATO. Shout out to the Gray NATO podcast. Those guys do amazing work, and they are right. Gray NATOs are some of the best NATOs out there. I brought Mickey with me. Here is a fun piece that you don't see every day. It is a mechanical Mickey Mouse watch, stainless steel, men's size. It's a 40 millimeter. It actually wears very similar to a Rolex Milgauss, for those of you that have worn a Milgauss. We've got a bunch of fake decoration. It's a Chinese movement, but it's marked Armatron, put out by Armatron, I should say. So some sort of a seagull movement, I would assume. I have no idea, but it's a fun watch, nonetheless. I bought this off a buddy of mine here locally, and I adore this watch. But anyways, I bring it with me a fair amount because I think it's fun to have fun watches, and this watch makes me smile. So I brought that with me. And now this next watch could be a bit of a redundancy, but again, it's something that I always bring with me. Here we go. This is the GShock, the G squared, right? It's got pretty much everything you could possibly need. It's got lights, it's got chronograph, alarm, timer. This one is the solar powered, so you don't have to worry as much as a battery. The GWM5610, to be exact. A little bit of an upgrade over the basic DW5600 square. And again, this is something that I always travel with. So again, these are somewhat, in a weird way, redundant because they're two rough and tumble kind of watches, but for obvious reasons, they're not the same. So I always bring a G square with me, and I always bring a turtle with me, and I figure everything else, is covered. Whether it's if I bring a dress watch, a field watch, a fun watch, whatever, I've got pretty much all my bases covered. And I was gone for about a week, and this is about an average haul for me, I would say. Some people may travel with more, and that's perfectly fine. I've done that as well. I don't always fill one of my slots with just straps. Sometimes I'll throw in 3 watches, but that was the key that I figured if I went for a week to 2 weeks, I could have easily 4 watches and be covered, right? Because I'd have one on my wrist and then 3 of these filled. I'd have some straps maybe stuffed in there with them, with the watches, and I could basically go anywhere and do anything. That is a basic kind of rundown of my travel situation. It's not very glamorous. However, it's very, very useful, and it's very, very easy. So that's one of the reasons why I like it so much. Hopefully you guys have liked this. Go ahead and in the comments down below, leave me some of your travel watches. What are some go-to travel watches that you guys use? Is it something like a turtle? Is it something whimsical? Is it something that you can throw across the hotel or when you're camping or whatever? What kind of stuff do you bring? Obviously, it kind of depends on your trip, but do you guys travel with a travel roll? Go ahead and let's have the discussion in the comments. And, maybe you guys can help me out and maybe improve my travel watch game. Thanks again for the time, and keep wearing those watches.